Two Cubs, this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
And welcome to the middle of the African bush. I apologize for the late start today. We've been trying to sort out some communication issues. So we've got a bunch of new radios and a bunch of new cables to confuse people like me. So my name is Brent Smith. I have VM on camera with me, and we are on a game drive, a live game drive in the middle of the African bush. Oh, sorry, I missed the road there. Oh, exciting stuff. I'm heading towards a female leopard with cubs, and hopefully she's still going to be there. She killed an impala last night. And a big welcome to Kempsville Elementary School. Great to have you with us, guys. What a wonderful way to have a school lesson out in the bush with me. Now, of course, it's not only me. Jamie is going to be out shortly, so you'll be seeing her. Now, guys, if you've got any questions, please send them through. I'd love to hear from you. Now, wonder what the first animal we're going to spot is. I've already spotted it. It's on the road in front of us. And let's get a little bit closer. Hello, impalas. Aren't they pretty? Oh, and they're very fast today. Look at them go. Off you go. So it's an impala, about the same size as a white-tailed deer that you'll get in the US. Of course, it's not a deer. Impala keep their horns throughout their life, unlike deer who lose their horns. And they only keep their horns for the breeding season, when they're looking for girlfriends, the boys. Now, an antelope, which is what an impala is, will keep its horns throughout its life. Very, very pretty antelope. Now, we're going to maybe see one of those that is no longer. So, it's one of the leopard's favorite foods. And our favorite female leopard, her name is Karula. She killed an impala last night, and that's her and her two cubs have been feeding on. And we're heading towards where she was. Right now, we should be there in a few minutes. Isn't that exciting? We're going to see one of Africa's big cats, the elusive leopard. Okay, we're nearly at that leopard. Not too far to go now. So we're driving through what you would call mixed woodland or broad-leafed woodland. Now, it's very good if you're an impala. There's another impala dancing next to us. Oh, isn't she fast? And also lots of elephants around. Buffalo, lions even possibly. So lots of really great African wildlife in this part of the world. Now, we're part of an 8.5 million acre unfenced area known as the Greater Limpopo Transfrontier Park. We are currently in the Sabi Sands, which is in the sort of west and center of this 8.5 million acre unfenced reserve. Give you an idea, there's about 16,000 elephants that live in this reserve, just under 2,000 lions, 2,000 leopards, and they all get to live wild and free and protected from poachers and things. Now in this area there are also quite a few safari lodges. That's where people come on safari to visit Africa and to have a look at the bush and all the animals in it. Now you're going on a different type of safari. Are you joining me on safari from your classroom? Okay, so now I'm going off the road. This is where the leopards were this morning, so we're going to have to keep our eyes open. Hopefully they're still here. That leopard hadn't put its impala in the tree yet. Let's keep our eyes peeled. Now, while we've been gone, now that impala kill was just here. Now, it could have been stolen by a hyena during the day, could have been stolen by a lion, but it hasn't. The leopards are still here. There we go. It's a mom and a baby. Okay, I'm just going to try and get us into a good spot now. Got to look around because there's actually two cubs, two babies. One is a male and one is a female. And I'm sure, look, from what I saw, that was the little male. And there's the little female, they're both right here. Hi guys. There we go. There's a little female leopard there. Her name is Shongile, the exquisitely beautiful one. Although she's quite tired because she's got a tummy full of impala. Next to there's Karula. She's the mom. And then behind is Hoisting, the little prince. Well, Mrs. Drum's class is wondering, where in the world are we? We're in South Africa, right down at the southern tip of Africa. We're in the northeastern part of South Africa, in our province, which is like a state. It's called Mpumalanga. Now, that's a very good name for a state or a province on the eastern side of the country, because as we all know, the sun rises in the east, and Mpumalanga means where the sun rises, where the sun comes up in the local language. Isn't this just magical? Now, this is one of the best mother leopards you see. She's raised almost all of her cubs to adulthood. Oh, there we go, little yawn. And in the last, 3 days, she's killed 2 impala and a duiker. So she's been very successful at hunting recently. Well, Alicia would like to know, how many animals have I seen in this reserve called Djuma? Now, that's a difficult question. I've probably seen about 25 different leopards, probably 30 different lions, and impala and zebra and buffalo. I couldn't count. So many, too many to count. Here's the little boy. Look at that. Isn't he beautiful? Now, Jaden is wondering what time of the day is it here. It's 10 past 4 in the afternoon, Jaden. And he's climbing a big termite mound. Leopards often climb termite mounds. It's a great place to get a good view around. So the cubs are about 8 months old now. Oh, Queen Karula, where are you off to? She might be going to eat on the Impala kill. And you can see how close they come to our cars. Isn't that amazing? If you drive carefully and respectfully around these animals, they treat you like you're not even there. Just watching, she's gone directly behind us. Okay, let's go. There's the little male sleeping on top of the termite mound. I just want to see where is she going. If she's trying to keep an eye out behind us, seeing if she's going back to the kill, which is hidden in the base of that tree there. There we go. You can see that's a male impala because it's got horns. Now Kai Ray is wondering, how do animals survive in the wild without being taken care of? Well, Kai Ray, they take care of themselves. So that leopard catches impalas for its baby, so she takes care of her cubs. But when they get old enough, they'll go off and they'll have to take care of themselves as well. Just seeing if she's going to go to the carcass now. She might have heard something. Now, leopards are opportunistic hunters. So if another impala happened to walk past here, she would definitely try to catch it. But she's going to go have a snack. Okay, let's move around so we can watch her feeding. And while we do that, Chloe is wondering, how many different types of predators do we get here? Well, let's just stick to the mammal predators. We won't go into the reptiles and amphibians, but out of the big predators, we get lions, leopards, hyenas, cheetah, wild dog. Out of the slightly smaller ones, we get jackal, 2 species of jackal, black back and side striped. We get 3 species of small cat, one called a caracal, and one called a serval, another one called an African wildcat. Then we also get quite a few different species of mongoose, which are also predators. Banded mongoose, there we go, nearly there. Slender mongoose, Meller's mongoose, white-tailed mongoose. There we go. How's that, Vim? Mrs. Drum would like to know if we've ever broken down in our car, and what do we do for help? Well, when did we last break down, Vim?
This morning.
This morning, yes, that was it. This morning, the steering arm was bent, so I climbed under the car and I hit it with a wheel spanner to try straighten it. Then I went home very, very slowly, and then we got Opa, our mechanic, to fix it. And then a couple of days ago, I bent the steering arm again, a bit worse this time, that we had to call for Opa to come out and help us straighten it out in the bush. So we've got in radio contact with everyone, so we can call for help. But in my years in the bush, I have been in places where there is no help, and you've just got to make a plan, or you've got to walk to the nearest place where you can get some help from. You can hear her crunching on the rib cage there. Okay, well, we're going to sit here and see what happens next with the leopards. But I said I'm not the only person out here, so let's go meet Jamie.
Hello and welcome on your live safari experience. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon I have a man called Genre on camera with me. Genre is very shy, so it's only if we answer really good questions or perhaps answer a quiz or two, you might see his thumb. That's all you'll ever get to see of Genre. But I hope you've all been having an amazing time with Brent and that leopard. I want to show you something a little bit different. I'm going to go and search of the creature that is responsible for this, but first I'm going to take you to where I live, and I'm going to show you what happens in the middle of the night when elephants come and pay a visit. Now, this is my driveway, this is where I live at night. I want to show you something very, very interesting. And at the same time, I'm hoping we're going to find a very secretive bird. I heard them calling outside my window, and I'm hoping they are still around. So, this is my driveway. I've cleaned it up a little bit because last night, whoopsie, what do you think came through here? If we have a look at what's currently in my driveway and the fact that the trees are all pushed over sideways, and it's not just that, look, the animal in question left evidence of what they have done. And let's go and have a look at the evidence and see if you can work out what animal was responsible for this mess in my driveway. Let's grab some of it, but being careful because this tree's actually got horrible thorns. Let's have a look at what we've got here. Oh, the elephant, the animal that left this behind. Something quite big, something quite large, and something obviously that eats trees and things. Now, what do you think I'm playing with? It's a piece of the animal's poo. What do you think that might be? See what you can see what's inside this. Bits of grass maybe, leaves, bits of tree, bits of my garden. All kinds of things in here. Now, this is a pile of poo. Can you guess what animal left it behind? I'm going to just leave it in my driveway. Now, you might think it's a little bit gross for me to be touching something like that. I will wash my hands afterwards. It's very important that you don't play with any poo of an animal unless an adult says it's okay. But because it's an animal that eats plants, I'm not too worried. If it was an animal that eats meat, then I might be slightly more concerned. Now, right, let me see if we can find this little bird that was calling. I'm hoping we can. It might be a little bit too far away. It's a very, very secretive little bird. It's a tiny bird. Let me see if I can spot it. I don't know exactly where it is. I'm usually quite good at finding them. See if you can help me look. Maybe they've flown away. They make a beautiful call. It sounds a bit like this. And it's a little owl. A tiny little owl. I think I gave it away, or you're all too clever. You say you think it is an elephant that came into my garden last night. You are absolutely right. And let me tell you a funny story about that, because I can't find this bird. I'm looking very carefully, but I can't find where it is. But let me tell you a funny story. So last night I came home, and Brent had sent me a message to say there's elephants in the garden, be careful. And I had to park my car, and I couldn't get out of my car. I was stuck. There was absolutely nothing I could do. I had to sit in the driveway for half an hour and wait for the elephants to finish feeding. Obviously, this is their home. This whole reserve is their home. So I wasn't about to go and chase them away. Mainly because it was very dark and they were very big. And I was very trapped. So I had to sit for half an hour in the dark in the driveway in my car, waiting for the elephants to all move. But it was beautiful. I got to sit and watch elephants in the dark, under the moonlight. Not bad. Taylor, you want to know, are elephants dangerous? Yes, they can be. All wild animals can be dangerous, and it's really very important that we remember that animals are out here are totally 100% wild, and we must never ever take that for granted. Now, an elephant can be dangerous, but you've got to learn. If you live in a place with lots of different animals, you've got to learn to speak their language. If you learn to speak an elephant's language, you'll be able to tell when it's angry, so that you can say, okay, I understand that you're angry, I'm going to move away from you. Or you can see where they're okay, they're happy to have you around, and then you can stay and you can watch them. So that's where it's very, very important. And whenever we're with elephants, we're constantly watching what that elephant is doing. Now, those particular herd of elephants opened the gate. The gate was shut, they opened the gate, and they came inside, because elephants are very, very clever. And those are the animals that I'm going to be searching for this afternoon. I want to show you a beautiful herd of elephants. And I suspect that the culprits responsible for making a mess in my driveway are probably somewhere still in the area. We can go and sit and spend a little bit of time with them and enjoy their company. Let's see what we can find. I think I made that quiz too easy. I think we're going to have to think of a more difficult one as we go along. So while I look for elephants and also think of more difficult questions to ask you, let's head back across to Brent, because he's got those gorgeous leopards.
Isn't that amazing? Out here we even get elephants in our garden. And believe it or not, we've actually even had a leopard in the garden. And the leopard we had in the garden was this very leopard. Now remember, at the beginning we saw those antelope running next to the car, and Eurylis is wondering, what is the leopard eating? It is eating an impala, which is the most common antelope we get here. And as I said, they're about the same size as a white-tailed deer that you might see in the US. So she killed this yesterday, and it's nearly finished, even though that's probably 120 pounds of meat. But remember, it's not only her eating, it's her and her two babies. I see when she turns her head to the side like that, she's using her premolars, which are like big scissors. Now, Alicia's wondering, are there monkeys here? Indeed there are, Alicia. And if the monkeys saw the leopard, they'd start shouting from the top of the tree. They make lots of noise. They're very good at watching out for leopards and lions. And they're one of the ways we always find leopards and lions, is when we hear the monkeys shouting from the top of the tree. You know what the monkey says? He goes, leopard. The other monkey goes, where? There. Now what we're hoping might happen here this afternoon is that, because this is nearly finished, it means the leopards might not be here tomorrow. But there are lots of antelope around here. There's some impala. So now what that leopard is eating is a male impala, and just on the other side of us, probably about 100 feet away, no, probably more than that, 200-300 foot, there we go, there's some more impala, and they don't know the leopard's here. So that's what the leopard is eating, a live version. Isn't this incredible? Now, Marek would like to know, are there wolves and sloths where we are? Well, Marek, no, they're not. We get jackals and wild dogs, which are part of the dog family, but no wolves. And sloths only live in South America, not South Africa. So the little cubs are still just sleeping on the termite mound. So we're going to stick with the mom while she's eating. Now she can eat about 12 pounds of meat in one go, and then she'll go lie down and sleep, and within a very quick time, a couple of hours, she would have digested that meat already, and she'll start feeding again. So that's a big male impala, and Bradley's wondering how big it is. Probably weighs about 120 to 140 pounds. And she probably weighs about 95 pounds. So it's bigger than her, and they can run very fast. That's their main way of escaping from leopards and lions. And then so it's taking the shoulder out now. So that's the shoulder bone, you can see her pulling there. Yum yum if you're a leopard. So impalas get eaten by lots of different things. So obviously they need to have a way of protecting themselves. So their protection is to be very aware, and they use their eyes and then their speed. So the horns they have there are not for protecting themselves. The horns are for fighting with other impalas when they're looking for girlfriends. I can hear some elephants quite close by, but it seems like Jamie's already found an elephant, so let's go have a look.
We have indeed already found an elephant hiding behind a bush. And look at it just peeking out over the top. You just see the tips of its tusks, and then, of course, that incredible trunk that he's using to shovel the food into his mouth. Wrapping around the branches and the sticks, just like they were doing last night when they blocked up our driveway. You see how amazing an elephant's trunk truly is, twisting and turning. Now, there's no bones in an elephant trunk. It is pure muscle. Now, Kennedy, this is quite a young bull, but you would like to know, how big do elephants get? Well, Kennedy, a big male elephant can go up to usually around 5 to 6 tons in kilograms. So that's, what's that? That's just over 10,000 pounds, closer to 12,000 pounds in weight. There are even record-breaking cases of elephant bulls that are even bigger than that. So an elephant bull, or elephants, will continue to grow throughout their lives. Let's see if we can reposition so we can see them again. Because he's actually not alone. There's more elephants off to the left of me, but they're also hiding in some very dense vegetation. And I'm hoping that the little bull will start coming and moving across in front of us. I think he's going to. So there's a mom and a baby, quite a big baby, not a little baby. Oh, hold on. Here comes our little boy. He's about to walk across the road in front of us. Here he comes. Hello, mister. How are you? Now, the reason that I know that he is a boy is because he's hanging out at the end of the herd. No, it's because he's becoming a teenager, which means that he is starting to become more and more separate, from the rest of his herd. And very soon, when he is ready to leave, he will go out on his own and spend most of his life either with other males or on his own. Now, Faith, you want to know how long an elephant can live for. The answer to that is almost as long as a human being. So an elephant can live up to 60, even 70 years old in the wild, but more usually sort of between 45 and 50 years old. Now here's the story, or one of the reasons why elephants actually can't live past that. Now an elephant, in order to sustain their massive size, obviously they only eat plants. So to sustain themselves, which is why whenever we see them they're busy eating, they have to eat all the time. Now imagine if you had to eat all the time. While you were at school, while you were at home, basically all the time. And you can't really sleep for too long, sleep for 20 minutes or so if you're an adult elephant, and then eat some more, and eat some more, and eat some more. What happens with elephants is that they actually wear down their teeth. So the hard bark and the branches eventually mean that the teeth run down and the elephant can't chew properly. Now, elephants are very, very clever in that they have a way of getting around this. So they have 6 sets of teeth. You only have 1 set of permanent teeth. So if you lose your adult teeth, well, maybe some of you still have your baby teeth that you're going to lose, and then you're going to get your adult teeth. But once you get your adult teeth, you've only got 1 of those. So your incisors and your canines and your molars, you only get 1 once your adult teeth have grown. Elephants get 6 of them throughout their lives. But when an elephant does get old, when they get to about the age of 45, it's their last set of teeth, and that is that. Then they're done. And then they start to struggle to get all of the food that they need. Plus, it's the normal thing of growing older. They can't hear as well, they can't see as well. They start to get a little bit thin, and eventually they will die of old age. But they can live nearly as long as a human being. Now, here's the important thing. See how I spoke about, oh, look at this elephant, she's giving us such a good... giving us a good example of her massive strength. Look, she's going down onto her wrists. Those are not her knees, they are her wrists. And she's pushing a massive dead tree over. Now, why do you think she's doing that? See how clever she is? Look at the grass that is in front of her foot. Now, look at the grass at the back where that was under the dead tree. See the difference? See how much greener it is, how much longer it is? And that's because she knows that underneath dead trees, the grass there is perfectly sheltered. It doesn't get trodden upon by things like buffalo and antelope, and it doesn't lose water very quickly because it is protected by shade constantly. So that's how clever an elephant is, that she knows she must push that dead tree away so that she can get to the fresh green stuff underneath. Now she's wrapping her trunk around it, she's going to shake it and into her mouth. Awesome! Elephants are such fantastic creatures. Of course, elephants are fantastic creatures, and so are leopards. Let's go back across to Brent and see what those gorgeous cats are up to.
So we've got a leopard to the right of us, and we've got elephants to the left of us. Isn't that incredible? Hello, Ellies. Big herd of elephants has just started walking past. They haven't seen the leopard yet, otherwise they would chase it. Elephants don't like predators, even though the leopard poses no threat to the elephants. Oh, she's moving the carcass. See, there we go. She's worried the elephants are going to chase her. Look at this, look at this. She's going to try to take it up the tree. Now she's worried the elephants are going to might chase her if they smell her. So she wants to get that impala up the tree where it's safe. See how she's looking up? Let's see what she's going to do. Come on, Queen Karula. I know it's a heavy impala, but so we always want her to lift the kills into the tree because it keeps them safe from hyenas. It means she'll be in one place for longer. Oh, There's an elephant coming again. If that elephant comes this way, it's going to come straight towards her. So she looks like she's looking up at the tree again. What are you going to do, Karula? Are you going to take your kill up the tree? Decision time. She's getting ready. Now you must remember, even that impala that's been eaten quite a lot is going to weigh probably around 60 or 70 pounds, and she's got to carry it straight up that tree. Now, Vera Liz is wondering, how many babies can a leopard have? Well, normally 2, sometimes 3, sometimes 1, but normally just 2. See how she looks up the tree? It's a good tree. Can you believe I've actually seen her in this tree with another kill about 6 months ago? She had a little diker in the tree. Now the elephants have gone past, but she still might want to take it up the tree for safety, because we are getting later in the afternoon, which means the hyenas and the lions might start moving. So if she hadn't eaten a lot of that impala already, it would be too heavy for her to carry up a tree. She's a small female leopard. A big male leopard wouldn't have too much problem. There we go, she's getting ready. So she's got to try get it in a good spot for her to carry it. There she goes. Seeing where those elephants have gone. Can't see them now, but that carcass might still be a little bit heavy for her. Come on, Queen Karula, you can do it. There she goes. Look at that. Isn't that incredible? That impala probably weighs the same as she does. And she's carried it right up the tree. Isn't that amazing? How strong is a leopard? VM, you with me? She put the diker in the exact same place.
No, I don't think I was on the sighting.
Weren't you in the sighting?
On that sighting.
I've got a photo of it even. So I said, I've seen her in this tree with a different animal kill. Now, Kyrie is asking, how much weight can a leopard carry up a tree? Well, Kyrie said they can carry just over their own body weight. So that's impressive. So for a female leopard rider, she weighs about 45 kilograms, so 100 pounds or so. Probably carry 110 pounds up a tree. So more than she weighs. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so we're going to say goodbye and send you back to Jamie with some elephants. It's been great having you all on the drive with us, and I hope you enjoy your time with the biggest land mammal in the world.
We are still sitting here with this herd of elephants because they are one of my favorite animals to just sit and enjoy spending time, a little bit of time with. You've just seen that incredible interaction with Queen Karula and the elephant herd. This is a completely separate herd. I have no idea if they're responsible for the mess or not. Either way, it is a privilege to sit with them and just watch them. Now, this big female is doing exactly what the other one was doing, which is pushing all of these dead trees out of the way so that she can get to whatever's underneath. You can see she's still busy doing it. See her trunk sneaking in. Faith, you want to know what do elephants eat? Well, remember, Faith, we were looking at some elephant poo before, and we could see all of the stuff that was in the elephant poo, and now we're watching what the elephants are eating. They will eat grass, they will eat leaves and bark and roots. Sometimes they dig underneath the ground to get to things like tubers. So basically a big, almost like a cucumber or potato thing underneath the ground that we get here in the African bush, and they will dig that up and eat that as well. But it's important to remember they only eat plants, so they are what's known as herbivores. They only eat plants. Sometimes, if they find a bone in the bush, they might pick up the bone and chew on it for a bit, but it's not really because they want to eat it. It's more to just basically like taking your vitamins and your minerals every day. If you take a little vitamin supplement, it's like that for an elephant. But that's what they do. Now, Brandon C., you wanted to know how tall do elephants grow. Brandon, they can be up to 15 feet at the shoulder. And I'm actually going to try and show you, Brandon, while we look at these elephants. This is something that was done on a computer, but it compares me and my height to the size of a big elephant bull. So let me just find it. You can watch the Ellies for now, and I'll find it for you, and then you can get an idea of just how tall an elephant will get. It is absolutely amazing, and I think you'll be astounded at how big they truly are. 15 feet. That means if you have a bungalow or a single-story house, if you were to go and stand next to it, an elephant's shoulder would come almost up to the top of that. There we go. Hold on. I found it for you. So this is something that one of the viewers, or several of the viewers, made for me on a computer. So it's photoshopped. It's not real. I'm not standing that close to an Ellie because I'd be in very big trouble if I was standing that close to an elephant. But we used the same size, the same tree, as a comparison shot. So that's me over there. And I'm not tall and I'm not short. I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. And this is the elephant bull. So that's how big an elephant can be. Just to give you an idea, see, my entire body is the size of that elephant's trunk. That's how massive these creatures are and how tall they are. He's basically as tall as two of me. If I stood on my shoulders, I still might not be quite as tall as him. So there you go. That's a really nice example so you can see just how tall they can get. And Peyton, very good question. You're thinking about, because the elephant is the largest mammal here, what is the smallest? Well, we've got, I would say, probably one of the smallest is an animal called an elephant shrew. So how funny is that? The biggest is an elephant and one of the smallest is an elephant shrew. And we're talking about mammals now, remember, because there's lots of insects and amphibians that will be smaller. But an elephant shrew looks like a mouse with a long nose. Not as long as an elephant's trunk, but quite a long nose. So we've got elephant shrews, bushveld gerbils. The smallest carnivore that we have out here is an animal I'm hoping I can show you at some point, which is called a dwarf mongoose, which kind of looks a little bit like a weasel, but is really, really tiny. So we've got big things and we've got small things and everything in between. Now our elephants have disappeared. Luckily I can see them in front of me. Very good question from Eurylis. You want to know, how do elephants keep cool? Now elephants are very, very clever, because bear in mind, out here in South Africa, okay, today's a cold and cloudy day, so it's not very hot at all today in the bush, but on a hot summer's day we can go well into over 110 Fahrenheit, well over 45 degrees centigrade, so it gets very, very hot. And you want to know, how does a big animal like an elephant keep cool? Well, they've actually got almost like an inbuilt air conditioning system. And what they do is, you see the ears, you see how massive their ears are. That's not so that they can hear very well, it's so that it's to cool them down. You see, look closely, look really closely on the edge of the elephant's ears. Can you see all those bumps? Now those are blood vessels. Like those people, perhaps you have seen prominent veins on your hands or on the hands of your parents or your grandparents. That's what's there. It's blood. Hey boy, thank you. Giving us a head shake. That's blood flowing through the ears. Now because the ears are so thin and so large, basically what it does is, it's kind of like having a fan blowing on them. It cools their blood down, and then the blood in the ears can flow to the rest of the body and cool the whole elephant down. So they've got lots and lots of veins and arteries and capillaries, so that lots and lots of blood flows through the elephant's ear at one time, and then they flap their ears on a hot day to help keep themselves cool. But sometimes that's not enough, and on a really hot day, guess what elephants love to do? Elephants love to go swimming. And they can swim. They can swim very, very well. And they can even use their trunk as a snorkel. So they can go right under the water and stick their trunk up high and breathe through their trunk if they need to. And sometimes, if it's a really hot day, which is wonderful to watch, elephants will go and find big, thick piles of mud. And they'll scoop up the mud on the edge of the water and they'll throw it over themselves. And sometimes they even lie down. Even the biggest elephants will lie down in the mud and rub themselves up and down and roll over so that the mud's all over them to help to keep them cool. Look at him reaching up to grab those leaves. Now, we've probably seen about 8 elephants while we've been sitting here, but Chloe, you want to know how many elephants will be in a herd. So in a breeding herd, which of course is made up of females and their little babies, you're probably looking at an average of between 10 and 20. Sometimes there's more than that, there can be up to 30 and more. But it depends on where you are in the world and what the sort of the environmental circumstances are. In other words, has it rained? Is there lots of food? Is there no food? Is there no water? And that will determine how many elephants there are, because often what will happen is an elephant herd will join up with another elephant herd and another elephant herd, and you can get 100, even 200 elephants at a time. And that's because elephants aren't territorial. So unlike Karula, the female leopard that you were with, they don't defend territories. They don't get cross with other elephants when they're in the same place as them, and they get on really, really well. It's almost like they have friends. And sometimes you'll even see when 2 herds come together, the babies run forward to greet their friends from another herd. Now Bradley and Merrick, you've asked me a question I don't know the answer to. You wanted to know how many bones does an elephant have. Okay, so basically every single animal has a certain skeletal structure that's basically the same. And the same goes for elephants and for humans and for lions and for everything. We basically have the same bones. So we've got a spine, we've got a backbone, we've got leg bones and arm bones. But honestly, if I'm completely honest, I have no idea how many bones an elephant has in their body. Really good question. I tell you what, I need you to see if you can find out for me. I don't know how you're going to find out. Maybe you can Google it for me. See if you can find out how many bones an elephant has. In terms of how big their tusks get, well, their tusks can grow longer than me. So if I'm 5'7", there are elephant tusks that have been recorded to have reached over 2 meters long, so over 6 feet, even up to 8 feet in length. And there's some famous places that you can go in the Kruger National Park where they have records, models made of the biggest tusks ever. See, now you've got me thinking, how many bones would an elephant have? Well, we have 206, don't we? Human beings have 206 bones. I would say that an elephant probably has somewhere in the region of that many bones, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less. I'm not 100% sure. But a very, very good question. I was hoping that for the last few moments we would be able to show you the elephants, but they've moved off. They've gone into hiding. But while I look and see if we can get one last view, Bradley, you wanted to know if elephants are endangered. Yes, they are endangered. It's something very, very sad about human beings. We don't seem to be very good at looking after the amazing animals that we have on this earth. Aha. Oh no. Can't show you that elephant. I can see that elephant though. So we'll start looking at this just while I talk about it. So yes, they are endangered. In South Africa, we're really, really lucky in that the laws here and the sort of circumstances protect the elephants quite well. But in other parts of Africa, there are hardly any elephants left. They're slowly but surely being poached for their amazing tusks. Isn't that sad? Being killed for their teeth. Well, it's very important that as you grow up, you learn to love these amazing animals, and hopefully one day when you're big, when you're all grown up, you'll be able to help us and join us in protecting them. Right, I hear that sadly it's time for us to say goodbye to our school. I do hope you've had an amazing time and that you enjoy the rest of your school days further. Until I see you again, bye-bye everybody. I hope you enjoyed your time with the amazing animals of Africa. And for our regular viewers, thank you so much for joining us. I know that you know that these school drives are incredibly valuable. We do thank you for your patience, but I'm sure you all understand how incredibly important this all is. So for our viewers perhaps that have just jumped on board, of course, we were chatting to, if I'm not mistaken, 6- and 7-year-olds in America, so fantastic opportunity for them to learn. But for you jumping on board for the first time, that might have seemed a little bit odd. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon, as I mentioned, we have Jean-Ray on camera with me, and you are on a live safari experience coming to you from Djuma, Arathusa and Cheetah Plains Game Reserve in the Sabi Sand in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. And because we're live, that means you can interact with us, which means send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter, or email through to questions@WildEarth.TV, and let's get a little bit of a conversation going. Unfortunately, many of you might have been asking questions, and we had to prioritize the school questions and little kids getting to hear their names on air and getting to learn about the animals. I think that's a fantastic experience. Right, so the plan for this afternoon. Yesterday afternoon, as we get going on the sunset safari, we had one of the most extraordinary sightings, and I think most of you will know the one I'm referring to. Brent actually was the one who found the placenta of a female elephant that had just given birth to a tiny little baby. And we actually were going to go and help look for leopards. We were going to go and look for Karula. We just happened to sit down with an elephant herd, and it just happened to be the one that the tiny baby was born into. And Jean-Ray and myself were the first human beings, along with all of you watching across the globe, to see that little baby for the first time. It was a truly extraordinary, very touching moment, seeing the mothers gather around, the mother and the rest of the herd gather around to protect it. I think it was pure magic, and I went to sleep last night with a big smile on my face. So I thought this afternoon, well, why not? Let's try and see if we can't find it again and that rest of the herd. It's a very identifiable herd because of Fang, the elephant with the backward-facing tusk, whom I'm starting to think if she's not the matriarch of that herd, and she could well be the matriarch of that herd, then she's definitely very high up there. She's second or the third in terms of that herd hierarchy. Okie dokie, while I go off in search of all the elephants on Djuma, let's head across to Brent, who has got those leopards for you.
So we're still sitting with Queen Karula. She's made her way to the termite mound where the cubs were resting up a bit earlier. Oh, elephant's making noise. Does it look like those cubs are going to climb the tree there, man? Okay, let's move. Just want to get into the right position in case those little cubs decide to climb the tree. So for those of you who joined us a little bit late, Karula hoisted that Impala carcass a little earlier today. Tell me if I must stop them, because I've just got to get into the right spot. I think we might have just made it in time. Is that little one gonna climb the tree? Or just tease us? So it's a little shongila at the base of the tree, but here comes the fat boy himself, Mr. Hoisting. Look at that rotund belly. I wonder if he's even going to be able to drag himself up a tree. There we go. Looks like she's going to jump, especially if he comes a bit closer. Come on, little one. Up you go. Stop teasing us. Oh, she's just teasing us. Oh no, she's going to go up the other tree. Is she going to try and jump from one tree to the other? That's a bit of a big jump, madam. Uh-oh. We saw you fall out of a tree once today on the sunrise safari. Is this going to be the second time? No. Yes, I didn't think that was a good idea. I wonder if she thinks that that's straight. I know, I think she's just playing. Oh, isn't this just wonderful? Having the best time, don't fall. I don't know, 4 out of 5. No, 3 out of 5 dismounts, I think. Oh, her brother's lining her up. No. I thought there was going to be a little bit more of a tackle than that. Now he's lying at the base of the tree that the Impala's in. Shongile seems to be moving off, going back towards where Karula is. Isn't he beautiful? Isn't that just such a lovely coat? So unfortunately we are going to have to leave in the next 5 or so minutes. There are other cars coming to enjoy these incredible cubs. But we will stay as long as we can with Queen Karula and her cubs. Now, Laura in New Mexico is wondering why there seem to be no vultures around leopard kills. Well, there are always vultures around lion kills. Well, it's generally because leopard kills are in the tree and they're a bit better hidden. So a lot of the trees that the leopards normally put the kills in have foliage, and the vultures just don't quite spot them in the trees. What are you up to, mister? Now, the two birds that do find leopard kills are often bateleur and tawny eagles, and they will scavenge off a leopard kill. They've got exceptional eyesight. He's slipping away back to Karula and Shongile, and we're going to slip away and let Goodwill get a chance to make his way into this sighting. What a wonderful way to start the afternoon sunset safari, and we do apologize for the belated start today. We are trying to sort out our radios, and you might notice my game drive is open, but we've got a brand new radio for final control, so that should hopefully make sure we can hear you all over the place. Now, isn't that exciting? So while we move out of here, let's go back to Jamie and see what she's up to.
My plan is to go across to Cheetah Plains to check out our comms. As you may or may not have known, that is one of the reasons for our delayed start this afternoon, was to get our radios all up and running so that we don't have to mangle the usernames that have sent through their questions. You know, all of you sending through questions, and then we don't quite know what your names are or whatever it might happen to be. Getting our radios all sorted out. So it makes sense to go and check that they're working in the farthest reaches of our traverse area. That being said, I've bumped into this herd of elephants and I can't resist just going to have a quick look. See if we can work out whether or not this is the herd that we saw yesterday with its gorgeous baby. Mark, you wanted to know if I've recovered yet from seeing the baby Ellie. Well, have any of you recovered yet from seeing the baby Ellie? Because I know I haven't quite. I don't know, it was just such a special moment when it fell down and it was, others were rushing to its aid, going to look after it, this tiny, wobbly, fragile little creature. No, I don't think I've fully recovered, Chandra. I don't know if I'd describe it as recovered. I don't feel as though I'm suffering from anything, but it was gorgeous. It really was, and it's still putting a smile on my face every time I think of it. I love the way that little one was resting its leg on the log, on the fallen tree. I think it helps that elephants are such special creatures. I don't know what it was that was so... Well, actually, I do know what it was. It was a brand new elephant calf that made that sighting so special. I wonder what that digging was all about. There we go, using foot to break the grass completely, actually almost uproot it, and pull it up into its mouth. Dusting it off as it goes along. Somebody's been in the mud, judging by the crusty, dried bits of mud all around its ears. Even though it hasn't been that hot of a day, obviously these elephants have been enjoying a little bit of time spent cooling off in the thick, glutinous mud. If I had to guess, I'd say around what's known as Baboon Pan, given that this is that's the direction that they seem to have come from. It's just south of our boundary on Little Gowrie. Using his feet to dig through, and at probably, I would say, 3.5-ish years of age, maybe 4, this young elephant is now completely weaned and moving about at the back of the herd already, probably with mom still, not quite old enough to be fully independent from her, even though it is a male, but no longer completely attached at the hip to its mum. Kicking, using its toenails to break that branch. There we go, well done, little one. Managed to get through and break it up and off. Such a peaceful scene. In all my time in the bush, I've never seen an elephant give birth. But yesterday was as close as we could possibly have come, short of seeing the entire thing. I almost went to stop off earlier where the elephant actually gave birth, where Brent found the placenta, and just to see if I could find its first pile of dung. There were so many elephants in that area as well that unfortunately that wouldn't have been possible. I wouldn't have been able to go for a walk and go and see whether or not I could find the meconium, baby's first dung, essentially, which sounds like a really weird thing to want to go looking for. I find it fascinating. Something's got some elephants behind me very, very worked up. I might go and investigate that in a moment. But for now, Bethany, a very good question. Yesterday, of course, we were very familiar with that particular herd. It was the herd belonging to an elephant, or at least that includes an elephant, called Fang, who has a backwards-facing tusk. And yes, you're right, whilst they do not have territories, they definitely have home ranges that they move about in. And it can be absolutely massive. I mean, we see the same ones because we learn to recognize them, and what they'll usually do is spend a couple of months in the same area, or maybe a month or so, and then move somewhere slightly different and slightly different. When you think about how much distance, and I'm going to go investigate those elephants calling, by the way, because I don't think it's this herd that we saw yesterday, and most of them are in some very dense vegetation. So I want to go and just investigate the elephants calling behind me. So yes, they do have a home range, not a territory, And that, of course, is what a home range, what the difference is between a home range and a territory. A territory, whoopsie, didn't see that there. As we turn around, a territory is something actively defended. A home range is a place that the animal moves about in without necessarily actively defending it. Oh. Hi guys. It was a wonderful sighting yesterday. It was beautiful. Oh, stunning. How absolutely wonderful. We did get to see it playing. It was lovely. I know, it's too gorgeous. We did. We are broadcasting live, which means I have to go, I'm afraid. But it's lovely to see you. I hope you enjoy your time with them. There's some nice Ellies just down here. Elephants. Not today. Cheers, everybody. Such lovely, lovely people. Yesterday, on the sunset safari, they had come from Karula while we were on our way to Karula and her Impala kill. And they were so incredibly excited to tell us how Shungile was playing with the carcass and jumping up and down. And obviously they're still enthralled by that whole thing. Then when I said there's elephants there, the one lady went, oh. I know she's very scared of elephants. What are we talking about? Home ranges. Home ranges and territories. So yes, elephants do have home ranges, and that is why we see the same elephants that we do regularly. So short trunk Ellie, of course, sometimes, because short trunk Ellie, I'm trying to get rid of the squeak. Yo, there's lots of Ellies around here. Tracks everywhere. You know, sometimes we go for a long time without seeing short trunk or any of the individuals. It had been ages since we last saw Fang, for example, or Fang's entire herd. So they often go and move into a different area, but we've been fortunate enough to get to really know most. I think we've seen at least most of the elephant herds that move through here. And somewhere there is a big boy in must, and I wonder if it's you. Nina's, speaking of territories and competition, don't you think about it, mister. Just you keep walking. Can't tell if he's in must because he's soaking wet from his mud bath that he's just had. I don't think he is, though. Nina's, you wanted to know, do elephants have any sort of competition between each other or within their groups? No, not really. Sometimes they have internal disputes. Let's go forward since he's popped himself right behind a branch. Sometimes they have little internal disputes. The females get cross with the young males for getting too close to their food or their calves. I don't know if you noticed earlier with the school drive, one of the elephants kicked another in the head. One of the females kicked the young elephant that was feeding with it in the head, just as they do. So they do occasionally push each other out of the way for a particularly attractive meal. And then, of course, the biggest thing, like while we sit with this big bull, biggish bull, one of the big main causes of conflict between elephants will be fighting for females, as it is with almost all animals out here. It's one of the prime reasons why elephants fight. Big bulls, most of the time it will be decided long before it comes to a physical confrontation. They'll size each other up and go, oh, actually, you're a lot bigger than I am. I don't think I'm going to mess with you. And off they go. And for the most part, as long as that behavior is shown, their presence is tolerated, whilst a male woos a female. But if there are two bulls of equal size, then they will fight, and they will fight seriously. And sometimes those fights can be fatal. It's unusual, but it does happen. And of course the famous Mufufunyan, one of the big tuskers in the Kruger National Park, and Mufufunyan means the sort of the crazy one, the angry one. After he died, it was discovered he had a massive hole in the top of his skull that he could actually breathe through, because it went all the way down into his sinuses, kind of like a whale's blowhole. He could breathe through it, and that had been made by another elephant's tusk. Yet somehow he had survived that injury. So that's the only real dangerous competition that elephants will engage in. Hey boy, you don't look too bothered. No ladies around attracting your attention right now. Beautiful bull. He's just at the right age, that youngish age, but where he is now self-confident enough to allow us to spend time with him. You know, with some of the younger bulls, when they've just left home, they actually get so jumpy and nervous that they see you coming and they run a mile. It's these big bulls that it's quite pleasant to spend time with. Look at that. These are, I think, some of my favorite shots that we get of elephants. Looking, and it sounds like the weirdest thing, but looking into their mouths, I don't know what it is. Their eyes are my favorite part, of course, but watching the way that they feed, it just fascinates me. And he's also, obviously, spent a lot of time in the mud. He's not in must. Now we can see quite clearly. His temporal region isn't swollen. He's got mud on his eyelashes. It's crusted round his eye. And all of the dips and troughs. It makes him look even wrinklier than normal. Just because he's damp and dark. Hear him breaking the branches off. Zaki from Kenya, whom I imagine has seen 1 or 2 elephants in their time, he wants to know if it's true that an elephant's memory is actually longer than that of a human being's, and that you've heard stories of elephants remembering people who tried to hunt them. I've heard those stories too. I would say yes, elephants have a very good memory. Is it better than human beings? Probably not. Sorry, I'm listening with half an ear to a weird sound, but I think it's just traffic. It's just traffic driving past. Sorry, Zaki, would I say it's better than human beings? I think that you'd find that very difficult to prove until we can actually properly talk to elephants. I think there are lots of stories about elephants. Some are myth and some are true. And it's a matter of sifting fact from fiction. They definitely have good memories. They remember where water holes are. They remember ancient pathways. And there seems to be a great deal of communication between the different herd members. And probably that you'll find that the oldest females, the ones that are the responsible for leading the herd, you'll find that they've been taught things by their mothers. So essentially the memory is passed down. But we do that too as human beings, through story. We have oral histories as well. So no, I wouldn't say that it's true that it's better. As for elephants remembering people who've tried to hunt them, I've heard lots of stories, and again, I think there is an almost mythical sense attached to certain elephants. Do I believe it? Possibly. I'm not sure. I think I'd have to see more empirical evidence, but instinctively I think that elephants are capable of recognizing individuals and associating them with certain memories. That I do think is possible. We just got to be careful of being realistic in our expectations of these animals, but I think they can. Don't know. I think you'd probably find that all of us as guides, all the different presenters would have different answers from you, and I have no doubt that Brent would give you an entirely different one. And speaking of Brent, let's head across to him. I know he was very keen on tracking lions. I wonder how that's going.
So our lion tracking on the sunrise safari got cut short by a mechanical problem with the vehicle. The vehicle is now top-notch. So we're just doing a big loop around this area, making sure they haven't crossed out of it during the day. So far, no tracks, so good sign. I think they're still quite close to Gallagher Camp, and where they killed that wildebeest yesterday. So let's go have a look in that area. Well, there's some people out there who think we might not be live. And one of them is Anon, a new viewer. Hi, Anon. And Anon is wondering, how do we know this is live? Well, Anon, because I'm answering your question, and unless I was psychic. I wouldn't be able to have guessed that Anon would ask a question during the sunset safari. So Anon hashtag Safari Live is one way on Twitter, or you can send an email to questions@wildearth.tv and we'll do our best to answer all your questions. So we are 100% live. We're in the middle of the African bush in South Africa. And lots of impala around this afternoon. Crossing the road. Hello, impalas. You're not what we're looking for. We're looking for lions. Hi, Lynn Davis. Lynn would like to know, is it illegal to keep the horns of antelope and things you find on the ground? It's not, Lynn. We can take them back into camp. It is, of course, illegal to be in possession of ivory without permission, or rhino horn, of course. But you can pick up buffalo horns and etc. Well, speaking about buffalo horns, now we found some horns attached to the buffalo. It looks like there's a big herd in here. Ooh, could you be drawing the lions towards us, buffaloes? Now the Nkuhuma Pride have been really focusing on buffalo during their hunting over the last while during the drought. And they've been very successful at hunting buffalo over the last couple of months. So this is a breeding herd. You can see males and females. Not sure how big it is yet. We might just be on the periphery of it, but there we go. You can see them stretching through. Let's go a little bit forward, see if there are any more. Now, the sound of a buffalo herd moving through the bush is the equivalent to the ice cream truck going down the road for small children. Hello, flows. Oh, it looks like a reasonable sized herd, not too big, but definitely enough to attract the attention of the incredible Nkuhuma Pride. Hi guys. And there you go, there's a young little buffalo bull there. And you can see they are a little bit nervous, and that's because they literally have been hounded by the lions over the last while. Oh, little one's got an itch. There we go, itch sorted. So we don't see too many young ones at the moment due to the drought. They were sort of the first to fall, and also a bit easier for the lions to catch those little ones. That one's giving us a sniff. Okay, well that's a good sign when you're looking for lions. Well, old Nick from Michigan would like to know, how long do buffaloes live for? The bulls 12 to 15 years, and the females around the same. Nothing really dies of old age out here. Well, I suppose it's partly old age, but normally a predator will get you. Now we almost want to see the Nkuhuma Pride stalking through the bush here. getting ready to pounce on the buffaloes. There's a small clump of nyari on Aubrey's Road, slowly mobile south. So if you guys are wondering what that is, that's the game drive radio, and we're in communication with the other game drive vehicles around here so we can find the most animals. And so finding animals is actually very much a team effort. So we work quite closely, or very closely, with the Djuma guides and the guys from Cheetah.